It's very notable this week that the Supreme Court and the entire country is reeling from their decision to overturn Roe v. Wade in that Dobbs decision. There was a sentence in there somewhere. And it's very notable who is speaking out right now, and it's notable who is not speaking out right now. We know there was an alleged former friend of Ivanka Trump said that she helped her get an abortion in high school. Unverified, but interesting. But we also know ultimately there are a lot of Republican lawmakers who campaign on being so-called pro-life, anti-choice, who make it, one of their biggest platforms, and yet have absolutely in private either paid for, advocated for those in their lives getting abortions, including their mistresses. And that couldn't be clearer than your boy, Representative Scott DesJarlais. DesJarlais. I don't care how to pronounce it.
DesJarlais.
Scott DesJarlais. DesJarlais is a physician and has been very quiet over the past week since the Supreme Court eliminated a woman's right to privacy over her health care. As the Daily Beast recalls, DesJarlais is the Republican official whose ex-wife had 2 abortions, and he demanded his mistress to have an abortion as well. Yet he maintains he's 100% pro-life. Now, look, when it comes to between you and anyone that you engage in consensual sex with, that is fine. It is okay to choose to terminate a pregnancy. People do it all the time, especially disproportionately people who are already parents. So I have a lot of empathy and I understand that. However, it's when you talk out of both sides of your mouth, when you do one thing and say another, that's where we're gonna call BS on it. So let's remember DesJarlais and this story, this little parable of the hypocrite. In 2012, those rumors began about the affairs the congressman had with coworkers. Oh, fun, coworkers, great. So it's a Me Too case, eh? And patients that were all well documented in his divorce. Okay, sorry. This is when Franny reads things for the first time. So he cheated on his wife with patients. He's a physician.
It's a HIPAA. Don't HIPAA him. This is HIPAA.
This is HIPAA. Oh God.
HIPAA.
Masks are HIPAA, and this is no, it's true. Hey, look. He ultimately fell under an ethics investigation after pressuring a patient to go to Georgia to abort the pregnancy he had caused. Okay, this guy is a massive POS. Came out. The DesJarlais had urged his pregnant mistress to get an abortion, a stunning revelation that was caught on tape, and that his ex-wife had 2 abortions herself. Okay, so we don't have the tape, but there is transcript. And so I'm just gonna read some of the back and forth. Here's from that tape between him and his mistress. You told me you would have time to go with me and everything, the woman complains. You assume this is, hey, come with me to terminate your baby. I said if I could, I would, didn't I? And I will try. DesJarlais says, if I can find the time, you're saying you still will? Yeah, the woman answers. Well, we've got to do something soon, and you've even got to admit that because the clock is ticking, right? He says at another point, the clock is ticking. They are clearly talking about a pregnancy here, and Brett, he's not even really offering to support her through this decision.
He's horrible. He's a horrible, horrible person. And this is one thing I just really need to get through. As someone who went to Catholic school, went to a Christian preschool, and underwent the most painful and sacrifices of all in the name of religion, a bris. Like, you can still feel morally superior to people in very Christian ways for eternity, and be morally superior to other people for eternity without ruining their lives completely. You don't need to win the abortion legal battle in order to declare you're better than all the sinners who went out there and knocked people up and were like, can we please not have an abortion? That's one thing. Or can we please have an abortion? But this is even worse. And what's worse is we know that this stuff has happened throughout the history of the church itself. There's a story right now about a priest who just jerked off in front of a Starbucks and got arrested. Like, all these people who claim to be holier than thou and part of this religious right movement are themselves wildly hypocritical. And it's not a surprise. We knew this would happen.
We just saw a young woman out her pastor in front of the congregation for having raped her as a kid, and continually, like over years, traumatized her. Like but it doesn't actually matter because they're winning. So W is by their names, not by ours.
And here's the difference, right? Is what the Democrats do when they're up for election or whatever is make a lot of promises to people. Like Joe Biden would promise that I'm for universal child care and paid family leave and all these things. He'll make the case to you that is his ultimate fight. And then when it's time to vote, he'll vote against that, right? It's revealed it's not his ultimate fight and he will vote against it. Now, with the case of DesJarlais here, he's vowed to his voters, oh, this is my ultimate fight, is the pro-life fight. I am all pro-life. And then when it's revealed that it is not his actual personally held belief that this is his battle, the difference between Democrats and Republicans is the Republicans still vote for it. They still vote for their base. Why? Because it's free. And they say the Democrats are all about giving away free crap to everybody. The Republicans toss free biblical superiority nonsense and jargon at people that becomes law that ruin people's lives.
Yeah.
That's what I hate the most about it. How did Democrats crack the code? The difference is in this situation, it's going to cost them a lot more monetarily. Like it's going to cost society so much more money outlawing abortion than if you just let it still happen.
Absolutely. And DesJarlais better keep it in his pants if he doesn't want to be a dad again. Everyone just go look up a photo of him when you can. Don't be eating anything at the same time. Irresistible guy. Just so you guys know, abortions, Tennessee does have a trigger ban. And abortions at detection of a fetal heartbeat, which can be as early as 6 weeks, if not earlier, before when a lot of people know they're even pregnant, has been banned. Planned Parenthood has just stopped performing abortions in the state of Tennessee. And just so you know, DesJarlais, this is Graphic 5, campaigned on an anti-abortion policy, proudly called himself 100% anti-abortion. And he's a member of the hard right, of course, House Freedom Caucus. Since June 24th, the day the decision was issued, however, DesJarlais has not tweeted about the downfall of abortion rights. In fact, he hasn't tweeted about any subject at all. On his official Facebook page, DesJarlais also hasn't posted anything since June 23rd. He is busy figuring out how he can still access abortions for his mistresses / patients that he coerced. And then Ivy Kit Connor on Twitter reminds us about the other pro-lifers that paid for abortions for their partners. Elliot Broidy, who is a former finance chair of the RNC, Scott Lloyd, who is a lawyer and also served as the director for refugee resettlement and a senior advisor to the Center for Faith and Opportunities Initiative. Wonder where they stand on abortion rights. Tim Murphy, former Republican congressman from Pennsylvania. There you got Scott DesJarlais and Mark Robinson, current Republican lieutenant governor of North Carolina. There are so many more hypocrites. This is just a small smattering, but it does not matter.
So you got folks like the district attorney of Nashville who are like, I don't care that I'm in Tennessee. I'm not going to bring any, I think it was Nashville. I'm not going to bring any cases against people who have performed or received abortions. I think that same DA needs to do the opposite for people who brought this into the law and are like, no, I asked God for forgiveness, so I don't want to suffer the consequences. No. Your words, DesJarlais, this should be illegal. You did it. We have the audio evidence of it. So we're gonna bring a case. I think the Democratic DAs need to bring, in cities, need to bring these cases against people like this schmucko.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.